back, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know what I just said there. I said ladies and gentlemen, but just messed up completely. We're back. We've got another episode on the go, finally. Oh wow, okay, nice. Um, but yeah, it's been a while. Obviously, I'm recording this on a Sunday. I was gonna make it seem, I'm gonna be real. I was gonna make it seem like I was filming this on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, but I can't. I'm not gonna make it seem like that because that would just be bad of me. Um, so we're filming this on a Sunday after Arsenal Newcastle. By us, I mean me, by the way. There's no one else here to see me. Which sounds sad, but I didn't mean it in that way. So we're going to talk about the match week just gone, not this one, because that'll be next episode, obviously. Um, but if you know how we do the order in this show, I'm going from the first game of Saturday to the last game of Sunday. Um, if I sound tired, that's because I am. I had work, but I'm going to be honest, I had like 3.5 hours because I got sent home early, which is always a good thing. So I was back in time to watch the Arsenal game, which is good. So basically, we're going for first game Sunday. No, what am I on about? First game Saturday, last game Sunday. Um, So the first game on a Saturday, which is a weird one to have, if I'm completely honest with you, is the Merseyside derby. I would have thought this would have been a Super Sunday match, but it's not. Even though the Saturday was so much better than the Sunday, like unreally better than the Sunday. Obviously a 2-1 win to Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, I did kind of see it coming, even though Everton have got good form. But definitely recently they've picked up their form with Dewsbury Hall, Grealish, Moyes obviously came back last season. Um, but yeah, there was a two. It was 2-1. Liverpool did dominate. I genuinely they continued their perfect start to the season. I didn't see any other result. I didn't see like a 1-1. Um, I thought Everton were gonna compete more than they did, but they didn't. So yeah, Liverpool 2-1. It wasn't a massively tight game. Um, Obviously I didn't watch it because I, I, yeah, I just didn't. Um, but yeah, if you look at the stats, it seems close. But if you look at what other people are saying, and I'm going off what other people are saying because I didn't watch it. So if you're going off what other people are saying, Liverpool were dominating. There wasn't really a look in for Everton. Obviously, they did score a goal. Idrissa Gueye scored in the 60th minute, which would have lifted the away fans a little bit, but nothing happened apart from that, to be fair. Gravenberch scored in 10 minutes, Ekatike scored 19 minutes just after, and then obviously Idrissa Gueye 58 minutes in. Um, Liverpool have been dominant, and you can't take that away from them because they have been. And if anyone is going to say who wins the league, I think Liverpool do have a strong case. I personally think it's Arsenal, especially after the game that I just watched. But we're going to go into that next episode, which will hopefully be Tuesday. If it's not Tuesday, it'll be Wednesday or Thursday. I can make that a promise. Um, but yeah, I think Liverpool genuinely they do have a strong case for winning the league. They've had a lot of late winners, but you can't take that away from their performances that they've put in. I don't think they look as sturdy as last season, which is an odd one. Last season they seemed really not. What's the correct wording for this? They didn't seem under pressure from anyone. Arsenal drew a lot of their games, and that was their closest competitor last season. I think Arsenal drew about 15 of their games. If not 15, then it was definitely close to 15. Um, but yeah, I just like this season there seems to be a lot more competitors. Like Spurs have picked up form, Palace have picked up form. I would go as far to say that if Sunderland keep going the way they are, then there's a strong case for them. City might be in on that conversation. Someone like Chelsea could be in on that conversation if they actually pick up their game a little bit. Um, but there's just a lot of people who you could put in that hat for winning the league. I think Bournemouth are going to have a better season than they did last season. Obviously, their last season they were going really well and then just finished it poorly, which probably left them out of that European conversation a little bit. But you could put multiple hats in multiple teams in the hats. Did I say multiple hats? Oh my god, my brain is gone. Um, you could put multiple teams in that hat for who's going to win. So I don't know, but I think Liverpool just look a bit more unsettled this season. They've had to deal with some difficult games, like the Burnley game before this one was a tough one for them. Um, and if you are a Liverpool fan, just genuinely tell me, like, do you think this season you have the what am I genuinely trying to say? Do you have what it takes to win the league? Because I don't know. But I think you could make a strong case for them winning the league, of course, after this performance especially. Um, at home at Anfield, Merseyside derby, the crowd would have been absolutely rocking. Um, but yeah, it's just it's one of those it's one of those things. It's just one of those games where one team dominated, the other one didn't really have anything to say. I think maybe they could have sat back a little bit, Liverpool, after they scored their second, and I feel like that's what probably brought on Idrissa Gueye's second or first. What am I on about? Idrissa Gueye's first goal. But again, I didn't watch, so like I don't know. Maybe they could have sat back, or maybe they could have just been carved open. I haven't watched any of the highlights, which is what I normally do, but I haven't. So yeah. Anyway, next game we're on to is I didn't tell you. I did tell you the goal scorers. Yeah, I did. Yes, I did actually. Anyway, this game, Brighton Spurs, 2-1 at half time, and then Mr. Paul Van Heck, or Jean Paul Van Heck. Please don't. I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but I might not be. Yeah, but that poor bugger scored in the 82nd minute, didn't he? I don't really know what he was trying to do because it seemed like it was intentional. So maybe he's trying to get the Spurs move. Who knows? But anyway, Yankuba Minta scored in 8 minutes and just rounded Vicario because he's quick and he can do that. Vicario probably went a bit too early, which is why Yankuba Minta went round him instead of just slotting it or chipping him. But who knows? Like, if you speak to Yankuba Minta, he'll be able to tell you why he did it. You speak to Vicario, he probably has a mistake in there somewhere. I'm not in the player's brain, so I can tell you why. But I think it's probably because Vicario went too early and then Minter just didn't. He just kind of went round him. Um, Yasin Ayari probably has one of the best goals I've seen this season. And probably it will be a contender. Already, we've had some good goals this season. Like already, there's a lot of contenders. Richarlison's overhead kick is definitely up there. Soboslai's free kick against Arsenal is definitely up there. This goal's definitely up there. There's a lot of goals that you could put in the hat for goal of the season already. Um, yeah, I mean, I think even Zubimendi's goal against Forest could be up there. It was hit, and it did take a deflection, and it was hit pretty much down the middle. But that doesn't take away that it was a good hit. Like first time volley, it was a good hit. Like don't get me wrong. Um, but I think the three that I first mentioned will definitely be up there. Yasin Ayari, I always thought I only really saw him this season. I haven't really heard of him. I didn't really hear of him much last season. I don't really hear of him much this season, but when you actually watch him, he is a very good player, and I think he's only like 19, 20, around that age. Um, I remembered like when Enciso first came into the scene and he scored that banger against Man City. But what Brighton are really good at is recruiting players really young and just turning them into world class players and getting profit off of it. Like their profit margin must be insane for buying and selling players. Like it's crazy what they do. They'll just sign players from like the African League or the Argentinian League and just turn them into like world class Premier League players and then they'll just sell them on for more. Um, like you've got to use that money wisely. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't really have anyone in there apart from maybe Matoma and Jorginho Ruta when he actually feels like playing good football, um, who can change a game in like the blink of an eye. But I think like you do with the money that they get from these players, then you've got to use it to get bigger players. I get it. I get what they're trying to do. They're obviously trying to bring that youth development in and buy younger players and sell them on for more and buy these more young players and then getting them through the door and improving them and then selling them, then getting more young players, improving them, putting them through the door and then selling them like that. That's great and all, and it's amazing for your football club, but that's not going to win you trophies, and they haven't won a trophy recently anyway. In terms of Spurs, obviously Richarlison scored a. It was a fairly scrappy goal for the equaliser, but it's an equaliser, not an equaliser. What am I on about today? Um, to pull one back. There you go. He pulled one back for Spurs just before half time, and it was a fairly scrappy goal. I think it was from a corner, and then he just kind of he got the last toe poke on it. Um, to obviously bring one back for Spurs, making it 2-1 at half time, and then Paul Van Heck. Um, yeah, I think if I remember correctly, what he tried to do was just kick it away, but he kicked it into his own goal. It was a good finish, to be fair. He's kind of kicked it into his own goal, which doesn't put a great light on you, if I'm being completely honest, when it puts the other team level. Um, it doesn't make you look great, does it? And with 64% possession from Spurs, you can kind of expect that. Um, and it's just like Spurs do look good, and no one can convince me that they can't. Because when a new manager comes in, you expect no ideas, and Thomas Frank has come through the door and immediately put his footprint on that team. Like when Yves Bissouma is late to train and he just doesn't get into the squad, and that's exactly what you want from your manager. If it was Ange, I think it would have been completely different because he loved that same starting 11. Ange had the same starting 11 no matter what happened. And bringing in João Paulinho was also a very good signing. I think Kudus was a good signing. I think Javi Simmons was a very good signing for them. They haven't used Kolo Muani, but that's not their fault. That's because he's been injured for pretty much since he came through the door. Um, but I think João Paulinho was a really smart one because he doesn't foul a lot. Well, he does foul a lot, but he gets the ball. He just wins the ball back. He just has that bit of ferocity in the midfield that they didn't have last season. Because Sarr isn't like that, and Sarr's been much better moving forward this season. But Bergvall's probably taken that, hasn't he? But Bentancur has been really good, even though he is a racist. Bentancur has been really good this season. Basuma is up for sale, apparently. Um, I wouldn't involve him in any of going forward type of plans. But yeah, I think Paulino was a really smart one because it would just add that bit. Like I said, it would just add that bit of ferocity and that bit of bite in midfield that they kind of were missing last season. And Ange, I don't think would have used him if they would have got him in the door last season. I know it is on loan, but like if you want a strong start, that's the type of player that you need. Um, I don't know if they're getting a bit caught out already because Frank does play a fairly high line, but the thing of the difference between Ange and Thomas Frank is Ange was very high pressing, even if the other team was on the attack, because he wanted to win the ball high up and then go on the attack himself. But Thomas Frank, while he does have that high line, he knows when to drop back, and he wants his team to drop back as well. Um, just to kind of settle it all down a bit. And having Van der Ven there for dropping back is so good because he's so quick, and him and Romero really seem to have built up a partnership over from the end of last season to the start of this season. They've been really good working together. Obviously, Van der Ven was injured a bit. I think Romero was injured a bit for last season, so they didn't really get to build that connection as well last season. Um, but yeah, this season they've been really good together. Udogi and Pedro Porro, I can't see them getting removed from their positions. Obviously, Jed Spence is the normal starter, but he didn't start this game. Um, he came on in 89 minutes, which I don't really see the point of. But anyway, Sarr didn't come on at all. I don't know if that's injury. I might be wrong, but I don't know if that's an injury issue or not. Um, Kudus, Odegaard, Richarlison, that's a strong starting lineup, man. Like, and then you look at Brighton and Verbruggen in goal, who's okay. Joel Veltman, who I don't rate, if I'm being completely honest. Van Heck, who we've already spoken about him. Lewis Dunk, who's just tall. Kadioglu, who is okay, Ayari and Baliba, who I rate very highly, Minton, Matoma, who are very good players, Gruder in that number 10 position, who is, again, he's okay, and then Jorginho Ruta up front, which I would have preferred Danny Welbeck if I'm completely honest. I know he's old. What's Welbeck, 34, 35? But he's just a good striker. Like, and he's got that bit of experience that you want in a Premier League striker. So like Callum Wilson at West Ham, um, he just brings that bit of experience that no one in that team, apart from maybe uh, Thomas Souček, Fabianski, people like that have. Um, but yeah, for a striker, it's really important to have experience because you kind of know what to do in certain situations when you need a goal. And you bring Danny Welbeck on, he, he'll mess about that defense well enough for you to maybe get one or two if you need a goal. But yeah, next game is Burnley Forest, and Burnley were able to hold Forest to a draw, even though Forest scored first. Nico Williams scored in literally 2 minutes. I don't know why I said literally there because everyone knows. Um, but Nico Williams scored in 2 minutes, and then Jaden Anthony, who, by the way, I remember saying, and if you go back to episode 2 or episode 3 when I was doing my transfer stories, I said that I rate Jaden Anthony and I said that I rate Marcus Edwards. If you're a Burnley fan, what's happened with Marcus Edwards? Because I said I rate him as well, but he hasn't really played much. So please just tell me what's happened. Um, but yeah, I've always rated Jaden Anthony. I think he's had a really, really strong start to the season. Kyle Walker, I was a bit confused on. I didn't really know where they were going with that whole Kyle Walker signing. But he's proven it well. I think he's a really good player. He's been really good for Burnley so far. He's kept that back line in check, which again, with a player like Kyle Walker who has that experience and a lot of it, and he's got experience of winning a lot as well, that is integral to that team. A newly promoted side like Burnley need that bit of experience at the back just to make sure that they're not. Because I remember Burnley's first in the Prem. That is the season when I think Luton and Sheffield were up with them. Yes, Luton and Sheffield were up with them, and I think they had behind Sheffield the most conceded goals in the league. But this season they've started so strong and they haven't let many in. Like with Man City, or who did they play? No, Liverpool. Liverpool in match week 4, and I think they kept them quiet for most of that game, and then they got lucky with the penalty at the end. Liverpool did. But keeping, like I said, the one of the favourites for winning the league, Liverpool, to a 0-0 draw right until the depth when Hannibal gave away that silly handball. To be fair, he gave that penalty away, and then everything goes out the window. But I think Scott Parker's done a brilliant job with this Burnley team, and also Martin Dubravka when he came in. I think he's correct for leaving Newcastle. I think Newcastle made a good decision by leaving or by transferring him out because he needed that bit. And he wouldn't have started right now over Nick Pope or Aaron Ramsdale, who I'm guessing was a replacement for Dubravka. Um, but yeah, Dubravka wasn't going to start in that Newcastle team, so the Burnley move was great for his career. Even though he is 37, 36, he's got to be somewhere around there. But he's been really good for Burnley, and I've been really impressed as well by that whole Burnley team. Especially Josh Cullen, who's come in as the captain. He has captained so well. Um, since he's since they've come back into the Prem, and I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed, and I hope they stay up, and I hope Leeds and Sunderland stay up because all three teams staying up. That's never happened in the last 5 years, where it's just been up and down. Not even yo-yo clubs. It has been different clubs. It was great, but going up and then going straight back down just isn't it anymore. So I hope they all do stay up. In terms of Nottingham Forest, I think Elliot Anderson's been really good. I think the loan of Douglas Luiz has been an odd one because I remember obviously when he was playing at Villa 2 seasons ago. I think that's when he left Villa 2 seasons ago. And then obviously went to Juve and never really kicked on. He never really found form at Juventus. Um, and then yeah, he came back to Nottingham Forest. He's on a loan at the minute, and it's been an odd one. He hasn't played amazingly. He hasn't played horribly though. Um, and then that deadline day signing of Zinchenko, I think, was a really good one. Um, Zinchenko obviously isn't a player who will change the game, but again, he's a leader and he's got that bit of experience that you want in a player. Again, he's won a lot, so he's very helpful in terms of, especially with Ange wanting to win trophies, even though he probably will in the second season, because he always does. Uh, I think he won the treble with Celtic in his second season. He obviously won the Europa League last season with Tottenham in his second season. Um, I know he did win trophies at Celtic, but it is Celtic, so what else do you expect? I think Dan and Doy has been a really good signing. I can't remember where Dan and Doy came from originally. It was an odd club. It's an odd one to remember, but he's been really good since he came in. I haven't seen enough of him to make a like opportunity or not an opportunity, like a clear opinion of him. But he has taken Hudson Odoi's spot, and I can't remember if Hudson Odoi has been injured this season, and maybe that's why he's not starting recently. I think Igor Jesus, obviously, who started the Europa League game that just passed for Nottingham Forest, and they got 2 goals out of him, and then obviously Anthony scored the equaliser for Real Betis, which is you just can't write it. James McAtee has been an odd one because he hasn't really done much, and I rated James McAtee. I remember when he first came on for City, I think he was genuinely a really good player. Pep obviously forms so much youth talent like Rico Lewis and Nico O'Reilly this season, and Oscar Bob, who started the season really well. And I think he should really kick on, but if he doesn't, that's fine because I think someone like a Newcastle maybe would snap him up. Someone like that, one of those teams around there. Um, Gibbs White, I haven't been impressed. I'll be completely honest with you. He doesn't look like he wants to stay at Nottingham Forest. He did obviously pen a new deal and became captain, but I don't think he wants to stay. I think Marinakis made him. I don't know how. Maybe decided to kill his family. Um, but yeah, I think Marinakis is making him stay. He's definitely not plotting something. What am I trying to say? He's threatening him. If he leaves, he's threatening him to something. I don't know what, but I just have that feeling. And then their centre backs, obviously Milenkovic and Morato, not Murillo, Morato. That's who Ange wants at centre back. So you can't really argue with that. Obviously Nuno preferred Milenkovic and Murillo at the back, but Morato is Ange's first choice. And then Matt Sells is just Matt Sells, any. There's not really there's not really anything that you can say about Matt Sells. Oh no. First the order for the video. Oh dear. If you've watched me long enough, you know that I yawn for a long time. In a lot of these videos, I do yawn. It does get quite boring, just all of the time. But that's fine. Anyway, where was I? I was talking about Marinakis and Gibbs White. I think I actually moved past that to be fair. But yeah, Matt Sells. Matt Sells. That's who I was on about. Matt Sells. Um, he's a don, isn't he? He is just the don. He obviously won the joint Golden Glove with David Raya last season. I think he was very impressive. Do I think he was better than David Raya? It is up for debate. I think it is. Um, in my opinion, I think in terms of individual moments, David Raya was better, but in terms of a whole game, Matt Sells, I think you have to give it to him. So they're both good, but in their different ways. If you need a goalkeeper to clutch up in the final few minutes, I think David Raya takes it. But in terms of a whole game, I think Sells just took it last season. This season it could be different. But yeah, last season certainly I would take Matt Sells. Not by much, but like I said, whole game I think you want Sells. Individual moments I think you have David Raya. Um, anyway, it was 1-1, finished 1-1, half time was 1-1. Next gamey is Crystal Palace, who have very much impressed me this season. Um, they took the lead in 37 minutes due to Jean-Philippe Mateta. Um, headed goal from about 3 yards out, probably. Um, Jared Bowen scored a header in 49 minutes, so literally not long after the halftime break. and then Tyrick Mitchell with, by the way, it was a lovely volley by Mitchell. Um, he just kind of saw it coming down, and I think it was the first time volley. Um, yeah, he just hit it, and it's gone well. Um, yeah, Tyrick Mitchell. I really like Palace this season, and I think they have a chance. Um, oh no. I went a solid 25 minutes without yawning, but now it's started again. Um, I think they have a very good chance of getting European football at least. I think that's the target for Oliver Glasner because they are. And after the game week that I am going to talk about on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, who knows? Um, actually, no, not Thursday. Tuesday or Wednesday, it will definitely be out. Um, but I think Crystal Palace, they are still undefeated. They did defeat the undefeated team, but we're going to talk about that again Tuesday or Wednesday. Don't miss it because it will be Tuesday or Wednesday. Um, I'm not going to leave it until Sunday when most of the games are gone anyway. Like I have this season, but don't hate me for it. It's not my fault. It probably is my fault, but anyway. Um, I think Crystal Palace need at least Europa League, and I think they deserve at least Europa League so far. Um, I said at the start of the season I think Crystal Palace are going to do well. Obviously, with I think they beat Liverpool at Wembley twice. I think Liverpool were in the FA Cup. No, it wasn't. They beat one of the best teams in the world for about 4 years. It was Man City. They beat Man City in the FA Cup final, and then they beat Liverpool in the Community Shield final. With Ismaila Sarr just wanting to score, he just loves the goal against Liverpool, doesn't he? Even if you go back to his days at Watford, he loves the goal against Liverpool. I can't remember the stat exactly, but I saw one after the Community Shield, which he obviously scored in, and he loves the goal. I genuinely think it was like 6 in 8 or something. It was crazy. Um, but yeah, I think Crystal Palace have a genuine. They want Europe, and I think they deserve Europe this season. We are. How many games are we in? I genuinely can't remember. I think we're five. I'm talking about game week 5. Yes. So we were 5 games in at this point. Um, and yeah, I think yeah. If I'm being honest, I think West Ham are going to get relegated. Um, with Graham Potter at the helm. At this point in time, they don't have Graham Potter at the helm. When this is being filmed, um, I'm sure you are all aware that Graham Potter was sacked and Nuno Espirito Santo, who is obviously not the Forest manager anymore because I was talking about Anjum Forest, he has been signed by West Ham. So I think if Nuno works his magic like he did on Forest, they should stay up. I think Wolves are going to go down. That's an unpopular opinion. But not if you see their record, because their record is absolute shite. Um, but I think Wolves are going to go down, and Villa, if they don't pick themselves back up soon, I think they go down as well. Um, I couldn't tell you another team that would go down. I can't remember who I put in my prediction. I think I put Brentford to go down, but I can't. I don't believe that prediction anymore. I think Man United, if they don't, this is the thing. This is a difficult one, right? Yeah, sit up for this. I haven't sit up for this episode. Um, Man United with Amarim. I'm just going to go on a little Amarim rant here. I don't think he wants to play this same system that he has at Sporting, which worked really well at Sporting, and he wants to integrate it into United style of play. But with the players that he has, and with the players that he's even bought in, they're not good enough to fit into his system. So I don't know where they're going to go. And if you have players that don't fit into your system, why buy them at all? You like, he's probably looked at someone like Patrick Dorgu, who he did bring in. That looked like a good signing from the outside. If you've watched Dorgu from where he originally came from, but if you have players that don't fit into your system, then you're not going to get the results that you want. And obviously at Sporting it worked well. Here it hasn't. Like I was saying, Patrick Dorgu just doesn't. If you follow him, he's a really good player, and he does bomb down that left wing. And for the first few games, he didn't look too bad, to be fair. I was quite impressed with him, and the United fans seem to be fairly impressed with him as well. Um, but I don't know. It was an odd one. They did win. They did beat Chelsea in possibly the most chaotic game that I've ever seen in my life. Um, Robert Sanchez got sent off in 5 minutes for a stupid, stupid challenge on Brian and Buemo, who was going to round him. And I'm going to stick by my guns here. He, if Robert Sanchez didn't come out, he rounds he rounds him, and he just slots it in. But Robert Sanchez came out. He came out way too late to the point where he wasn't going to get the ball, um, and he thought that taking him out was the best option. But one, I think he took him out outside the box, which is already bad. And when it's a clear cut opportunity like that, then it's a red card. Even if it was a defender that took him out, which it wasn't, but if it was, that's a straight red. So for Robert Sanchez, straight red. Because if he doesn't get there, and Bremer rounds him and he slots it in, but he stops him completely. Um, so yeah, and then they had to bring George Jensen on for who did they take off for George Jensen? Let me have a look. Let me have a look. See, Estavio. Yes, yeah. So they took Estavio off in 6 minutes to put George Jensen on, and then they took Pedro Neto off. Pedro Neto, my favourite Chelsea player, Pedro Neto. They took Pedro Neto off in 7 minutes, which is also another weird one. Um, and then they took Palmer off in 21 minutes, because he's out. If you saw the news after this game, Palmer is out with another groin injury for 2 to 3 weeks. I think it's the opposite one to what the one he originally injured. Um, so yeah, Palmer's out for another 2 3 weeks, and then before that, I've got ahead of myself here. So before Palmer goes off, Bruno Fernandes scores in 14 minutes, which puts the crowd in a good mood because it was at Old Trafford. And then to put him into an even better mood, Casemiro scores to make it 2-0 at half time and then gets sent off just before half time because it's Casemiro. Um, so he gets sent off just before half time on like the genuinely, I think like the 45 minute or like the 49 minute mark. He gets sent off, and then Trevor Chalobah, just to bring some sort of normality back into that game, scores in the 80th minute. So it was a weird one at Old Trafford. I can imagine if I was in the stadium, it would feel a bit nervy in the United fans. Um, but that's fine because they saw through it and they got the win. Um, yeah, I think that was genuinely the best game of the game week because the Sunday that I'm about to talk about was absolutely dross. Um, but yeah, I think this game it could possibly be a contender. Obviously, I know we're 5 games in, well, 6 games in, but again, I filmed this one. I'm filming it late. Um, I think it could be a contender for a game of the season. I think it could be an all-timer for the Premier League game of the season, certainly. And I think it will be. And I think this game will possibly go down in history as one of the most chaotic games ever. Um, Simply because I think Maresca, after Sanchez got sent off, just completely lost it. Taking Estave off in 6 minutes, taking Neto off in 7 minutes for literally no reason, Palmer off because he got worried, and he had meaning to be worried because he's now been ruled out for 3 weeks. Maybe two. Maybe Chelsea fans don't have to be as worried. It could be 2 weeks, but it could also be three, which isn't great. But I think Maresca genuinely just lost his head. I don't really know why, because as a manager, this stuff happens all the time, and you just have to get used to it. Like at Leicester last season, he was great with it. Um, but yeah, it is no, not Leicester last season. Before that, he was the Leicester manager, and he was really good at Leicester. Um, but last season he dealt with it okay. But I don't know what's changed. I don't know if it was Old Trafford that got to him a little bit. Um, but yeah, anyway, 2-1 to United, which gives them at this point, I think it's only their second win of the season. Am I correct? I am correct. They've only got 2 wins this season, um, which weirdly puts them in seventh, which is an odd one. Even with a minus goal difference, puts them in seventh. Um, Next game is Fulham Brentford. Brentford came from 1-0 up, and Fulham won 3-1. So there you go. It was a like I can't say like yeah, cool. They came back, but it wasn't really a competition after the 20 minutes. Um, and yeah, they came behind. They came from behind. 20 minutes, Mikel Damsgaard scored. Then Iwobi, who I bloody love, by the way. I genuinely love Alex Iwobi. I think he's still so good. And he is 32, 32, 33, somewhere like that. But yeah, I think he's honestly, he's so good. He's so, so, so good. Um, do I think, do I think Alex Iwobi has this season, then maybe next season he might fall off? Possibly. I think, yeah, I genuinely think yes. I think he has this good season, then he might fall off. But anyway, that's not the point because they scored two in 2 minutes. So Alex Iwobi scored in the 38th minute, and then Harry Wilson scored in the 40th minute. So obviously around 5 minutes before half time, in normal time anyway. And then Ethan Pinnock, 10 minutes after, so 5 minutes after, the first half, the second half before the second half started, scored an own goal. Poor bugger. Poor bugger. Um, but I think Brentford have lost their third game in a row with this one because obviously, again, yeah. Um, so yeah, Brentford have their third straight league defeat on the road. So they haven't won their last three away from home, is what that means pretty much. I did get that straight off the Premier League app. This is where I get most of my stuff from. This and FootMob, which is another good app that you should go check if you want um, news on football. All your football news, FootMob. This isn't an ad. I'm just telling you what to go use if you do want football news. Um, that'd be a good ad to get though. FootMob ad. FootMob. If anyone's listening from FootMob, give me a chance. Even though I am an incredibly small creator and you should not be taking chances on me. Because I won't grow your app anymore. I'll be completely real with you lot. Um, so now we move on. I'm not going to do a long segment on Sunday because nothing happened. Um, first game, God, there's not really much on the Premier League about this game either. Nothing happened. Um, I'll try and give you some stats. How about that? You might want stats from this game. Um, so it was 0-0. There were 11 shots from Bournemouth, 4 from Newcastle. Uh, there wasn't really much XG. The passing was okay. Nothing happened in this game pretty much. It was a dull game, 0-0. Yeah, yeah. I genuinely don't know what you lot want me to say. Robert Jones was the ref. There you go. There's some important information for you. Um, Aston Villa scored a goal. They scored their first goal of the Premier League season in this game. Um, Matthew Cash with a 67th minute goal, which could have been the winner if Wilson Isidore didn't just score in the 75th minute, which I've been really impressed with. I'm going to be real. Um, and then I'm going to botch this name. I'm really going to butcher this name, so just don't go mental. Um, Renildo Mandava. Now, if I did butcher that name, tell me. If I didn't and I said it perfectly, which I definitely didn't, then give me what should you give me if I didn't butcher that name? Botcher? That's not a word, mate. I'm gonna say you should give me a packet of sweets, and I'll decide what ones now. Wine gums. Get me a packet of wine gums, all of you. Everyone who listens need to buy me a packet of wine gums so I didn't match if I didn't butcher that name. Um, we didn't shake on it, so they don't have to technically, but I think you should because it'll be a nice gesture. So there you go. Um, but yeah, he got sent off in 33 minutes. Wilson Isidore doing what Wilson Isidore does and just scored a goal because he's Wilson Isidore. I've said that name far too many times. I've been really impressed with Sunderland. Like I said earlier, I think they're going to stay up. I think they're going to do best out of the new teams that came up. I think their home form, along with Leeds and Burnley, I think all of their home forms are going to be really, really important this season. Um, yeah, oh, I missed a game. Bloody hell. I missed a bloody game. That's never happened with me before. I forgot the Wolves Leeds game. I thought I was missing Leeds out. Um, yeah, quickly on that. I'm gonna say his name wrong again. Krechke scored in 8 minutes. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Anton Stack, and Noah Okafor scored um three in 14 minutes. Sorry, that was a burp. Didn't mean to do that. Um, well, I don't even know what that tastes of. I don't know. Anyway, that was gross. I don't know why I even spoke about that. But yeah, so Leeds won 3-1 against Wolves. I think that Leeds are going to stay up. I think that Burnley are going to stay up, and I think that Sunderland are going to stay up. I think they deserve to as well. I think all of them do. I think their home form is honestly going to be so important with them, and if they can win away from home, that's even better. Um, yeah, I think they're gonna. I think they're all gonna do really well, and I think their recruitment, all of them, I think all of their recruitment this summer has been so smart in terms of being strong at the back, and then I think they got the back done first. They've worked back to front with their transfer recruitment, so they've worked back to front. So they've gone their defenders first because if you want to stay in the Prem, you don't want to concede many goals because that's been the downfall of so many teams that have come up and then gone straight back down. So I think Ipswich recruited well, but they just didn't have the manager for it. Um, Liam Delap, Twan Zebby, players like that. Calvin Phillips, who is probably never going to get on a football pitch ever again. Um, but yeah, I think if you want to talk about teams who recruit well, you look at Sunderland. I think the list of recruitment and how well they recruit. I think you look at Sunderland, Leeds, Burnley in that order. But I think they've all recruited incredibly well, and I'm very, very impressed. And I think Sunderland are going to be mid-table by the end that they finish. Um, I think eighth or ninth, maybe 10th. Um, I think if they don't continue their form, I think 14th is genuinely the lowest that they'll go. I think they're going to do really well. I think Burnley will just about stay up, even though they do look good, and I think Leeds will be not far ahead or behind of Sunderland. I think they'll be just behind. I think worst case scenario for Leeds is 15th, if I'm being completely honest. I think they look really good as well. Then next game, Arsenal Man City 1-1. Arsenal put the handbrake on completely this game, and Man City actually parked the bus, which we don't really see from Man City nowadays. Um, but yeah, Gabriel Martinelli saved us. I'm an Arsenal fan, just if you weren't aware. Um, Martinelli saved us in the 93rd minute by just lobbing Donnarumma, just casually. Eze with the assist. Um, Haaland scored. Man City broke on the counter and then sat back for the rest of the game, which is not like Pep at all. Um, and we should have absolutely we like if you remember the game where we beat them 5-1 last season, we should have absolutely hammered them, like completely and utterly hammered them this game, but we didn't, and we just have to move with that. Like it's just one of those things. We just have to move. We shouldn't have put the handbrake on. We did put the handbrake on. That's passed. That's gone. Um, a point on the board is better than none at all. And I am annoyed that we didn't pick up all 3 points, but it's better than picking up none at all. Do you know what I mean? So we fought for one, we got one. That's that. But that is the end of today's episode. I'm telling you, man. It's the end of it. No more. Well, there will be more, but just not soon. Again, sorry for the late episode. My audio file, I didn't actually tell you. I did say it on my Instagram, but that's not. I can imagine you're all here from, and you all, everyone who listens to this probably follows me on Instagram. Um, but my audio file completely corrupted. Um, I got annoyed. The one that I'm filming on right now annoyed me. Stopped recording for literally no apparent reason. I moved on to another one. That one had the wrong audio file, so I tried to convert that one, and it didn't work. And then the audio file completely corrupted. So that's why I'm filming it now. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. I'll be back in about 2 days. So Yeah, there you go. Um, there is a game tomorrow. Um, it's weird saying this now because it feels like yeah, but there is a game tomorrow. It's Everton. Who plays tomorrow? Who hasn't played yet? Everton and hold on, I'm trying to think. I can't think. Let me see. It's Everton. Someone. Who? Tell me. Tell me why. I don't know. My phone's genuinely in so lag. It's really annoying. Everton West Ham. There you go. I think Everton will win. And I hope he does because my FPL has been absolutely dreadful when he's my captain. Jack Grealish is my captain. So yeah. Anyway, I will see you all in the next episode, which is 2 days away. So have a good one. I'll see you next time. Thank you all for listening. Goodbye.